Hello, good morning and a very warm welcome to round 3 of the 2020 FIM CEV Repsol Championship here at the magnificent Circuito de Jerez and El Nieto. My name is Elliot York and alongside me once again is Jack Gorse as we get set to bring you the first of 2 race days at this classic, iconic motorsport venue. Nestled into the beautiful Andalusia hillside, the Jerez circuit is one known and loved by many. 4.4 kilometres in length, it's a tight, twisty and technical layout that consists of 5 left corners, 8 right, and it's an arena that has provided plenty of drama in years gone by. The sun is shining. Thankfully, me and Jack have avoided getting sunburned for the time being as we look forward to 2 days of great racing here in southern Spain. We've got 4 races to look forward to today, starting with the Hawkers European Talent Cup, followed by the Moto2 European Championship. Then the Moto3 Junior World Championship riders are on track before the ETC riders are back out for race 2 at 2 PM local time. Jack, hello mate, it should be a cracking race day here in Jerez.
Certainly should be. Turn my mic on there, that would be a better start, wouldn't it? Hello mate, welcome along everybody watching at home. Hope this finds you well wherever you are in the world watching us here in Jerez. As we say, the sun's shining, and it was also shining back in Portimao. Take a look at the highlights.
Certainly was. This is the Hawkers European Talent Cup highlights from the Algarve, and it was David Alonso after the red flag incident that eventually won. Couple of tenths per lap as the battle for the podium raged on between the likes of Ferrandez, Ortola, Morelli and more. But like I say, Alonso just eked out that couple of tenths a lap and he was able to get away from the chasing pack. There's great moves being made by Tapia in particular on the Leopard bike, as you can see there. But no one could stop David Alonso. He won 2 races in Estoril, the number 80, and he cruised to another one in Portimao. The battle for the podium, as you can see, was very, very contested, and it went all the way down to the final lap. But there he is, the number 80 crossing the line with Ferrandez and Morelli completing the podium in Portimao nearly 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, it certainly seems quite a while ago since we were last on track. Of course, some of these guys have been on track since then in various other championships around the world. Coming up for you, look at the, well, you see there on your screen, blue skies, the sun shining, 21 degrees of air temperature at the minute. I can guarantee you it will get a lot hotter than that. I think we're predicting up to around 30, 31 degrees today, aren't we, Elliot? But we've got 4 races for you today, starting off with Hawkers ETC. And it really has been the story of one man in 2020 so far, David Alonso. But this weekend, it just looks like his dominance is being tested a bit more, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does, yeah. He's 7th on the grid here for Hawkers European Talent Cup Race 1 and Race 2 later today. So that's the first time he's not started on pole position. So yeah, like you say, Jack, it looks like we could have potentially another race winner on our hands. But he was quickest in warm-up this morning, was the number 80 of David Alonso. But here is your poleman, number 84. It's Zonta van den Goorberg, his maiden pole position at this level. The Dutchman on the superb Honda machine.
Yeah, certainly. He's looked pretty good this weekend. Obviously, last night when I was just scrolling through my Twitter feed, I saw a tweet from Jürgen van der Goorberg, this young man's father. Of course, Jürgen, accomplished Grand Prix racer himself, racing in the 500s on the old beastly 2-strokes. And he just tweeted saying how much of a proud father he was, and it was pretty cool as we look back to just how he took pole position.
Yeah, today was quite a good day, of course, P1, and in QP1 I had 1 good lap time, but the other ones were not so good, but still P1, not really satisfied, need to improve still a bit for tomorrow, but looking forward.
Thumbs up there from Zonta as he walks off the grid as some final preparations get underway. Yep, he'll be hoping to convert that into victory, of course, either in race 1, race 2, or both, in fact. He's 7th in the championship, finished a best of P4 in Estoril. He's had 3 top 10s in Red Bull rookies this year as well. He went well over in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, P9 at P8, and a P6 were his top 10 results there. So he's coming in off the back of some good results there.
Yeah, and he really did go well in Red Bull Rookies over in the Red Bull Ring. Of course, that P6 in Styria, I think it was race 2 on the Styrian weekend. He was certainly very impressive, fighting at the front the whole time. And another man we expect to find at the front is this young lad, Angel Piqueras. His championship's been pretty good so far. Obviously, a 2nd place and a 4th, you can see that on your screen. But in Estoril, he DNF'd. I believe he crashed on the final lap, actually. Yeah, certainly he's a young man that we're expecting big things from today.
Yeah, the reigning 2019 Spanish Moto3 champion, and he was 0.3 seconds clear in the 2nd qualifying practice. So that was done later on in the afternoon, in the early afternoon, should I say. So definitely look out for Angel Piqueras in this afternoon's race. But of course, starting from 2nd on the grid, he's going to be looking at getting that whole shot and trying to lead from the front early doors. The 13-year-old talent Team Estrella Galicia. They've got some pedigree right from the Hawkers European Talent Cup, like we've seen today, all the way to the Moto3 World Championship and beyond. So there's Alonso just being shaded by the sun. And we mentioned the weather at the start of the programme, Jack. It is pretty cool still, to be fair, 21 degrees. But like you say, it is going to rise to at least 30 degrees later. The conditions here overnight are it really drops from, well, it was 32, 33 degrees yesterday, wasn't it, like 6 p.m. So the temperature really does drop. So I think that could play a part in this morning's race, and then we'll see what this afternoon brings.
Yeah, certainly. I reckon by the end of this race, the temperature, and certainly the track temperature, will be up a fair few degrees from what it is now. And also join in Zonta van den Gorberg and Angel Piqueras on the front row. You can probably see another Estrella Galicia talent team bike there. That is the 95 of Marco Morelli. Actually just see him trundling over there with his levers unzipped, trying to keep cool. It looks like a pretty cool, calm and collected customer as he just takes his mask off to put his helmet on. Of course, everyone here still wearing masks and face shields, as you can see dotted around the paddock on the grid there. But Marco's been going quite well. Obviously in Portimao, he took a fairly big step with his qualifying. He qualified 6th on the grid, and then here now he's taking his first front row of the year. So you know, Marco's one of those ones we need to see him fighting for wins in the next, well, the 2 races here today.
Yeah, and I think we will. Like you say, he's made a step from Portimao and from Estoril. It's his best qualifying of the season. He's 5th in the championship. He got that podium in Portimao just under 6 weeks ago. So he'll be brimming with confidence. And now we move on to the 2nd row of the grid, and leading that 2nd row is this man, Marcos Ruda, the number 69 on the Team Honda Laglice machine. He's 8th in the championship, as you can see at the bottom of your screen. P6 in Estoril's 2nd race is his best result, and then he followed that up with a P7 on the Algarve. So that's 2 solid top 10 results after a disappointing race 1 in Estoril, and this is also his best qualifying of the season. His previous best was 15th in Portimao, so that's a really good step up.
Yeah, certainly taking another big step. And this man that you see on your screens now, Juan Rodriguez, he's a person we'd like to see take a little bit of a step. His qualifying this year has been a little bit up and down. He was 17th in Estoril and then 11th last time out in Portimao. But his racecraft has been pretty good. He's been there or thereabouts, but this time starting up on the 2nd row in 5th. We really should see him get away with that front pack. Obviously, we saw that pack of, I think it was 10 riders in the end by the end of the ETC race last time out in Portimao, and he was just part of that. He finished down in 9th in the end. So hopefully he can pick up his best finish of the year. And speaking of another man that was in that pack, Harrison Voigt, he was with JWCh. Just in the last couple of laps, they actually caught back up to the pack, and you know, obviously they had to come from, I think Harrison Voigt was way down the grid. I think he was 14th last time, so he had to fight through them to catch up to the lead guys. Yeah,
Harrison Voigt's got a previous for coming from really low down on the grid to fighting with the leaders in Estoril. He finished 10th, but he had a 12-place grid penalty, which saw him start way into the 20s. So yeah, Harrison Voigt 6th on the grid. Watch out for the young Australian coming through there on the 2nd row, as we now turn our attention to your championship leader. Maximum points so far there, 75 points, a win in Estoril race 1, a win in Estoril race 2, and a win in Portimao, as we've just seen at the top of the show. He also finished 4th 4 times in the Red Bull Rookies. It was a very impressive showing, to be fair to the Colombian. First time on a Moto3 machine, stepping up from these slightly slower and slightly different European Talent Cup bikes, but it was an impressive showing in the Red Bull rookies against much stronger, well, not much stronger opposition, much more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Maybe
experienced competition, that's the one.
Yeah. Another impressive showing was David Alonso's teammate, Ivan Ortola. Obviously, Ivan's quite a fair bit taller than David Alonso, and he looks absolutely massive on these tiny European Talent Cup machines. But on the Red Bull Rookies bike in Austria, he looked a bit more normal size, didn't he? So obviously, he's another man that went pretty well. They actually picked up 1 podium as well in Styria. I think that was race 2. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, he's qualified well again here, and he'll be looking to rekindle another podium, which he got in the first race of the year back in Estoril.
Yeah, Ortola really does look more at home on a Moto3 machine. He is quite a lanky lad for 16 years old, and you'll see in this race, if you didn't see any of the Estoril or Portimao races, that he really does look a lot bigger than the rest of the field. We've just seen there, and you can see the back of his bike. It's Alvaro Carpe, the number 83 on the Hawkers. Fine work, Arrow team. He's 12th in the championship. He finished a best of P8 in Estoril, and this is actually his worst qualifying of the season in 9th place. So he'll be looking to make up places early doors, but it's not going to be easy because there's a lot of quick men around him, and that includes this man in 10th place, Marco Tapia, the Leopard Impala Junior rider. He's 6th in the championship. P5 in Portugal was his best result. He was in that podium fight, pulling some audacious moves, I must say. It was very great to watch him, wasn't it, in Portimao?
Yeah, it really was. He was diving up the inside. I think it was turn 10, just at the top of the hill there as they come over the crest. He was, I don't know how he was doing it every lap, but he was just diving up the inside of them. Anyway, it's time to get going as we turn to our grid. On pole, you do have Zonta van den Gorberg, number 84, taking his first for pole position, and help Keras and Marco Morelli. Row 2, Marcos Ruda, Juan Rodriguez, and Harrison Voigt, the Australian, with row 3, championship leader David Alonso, Ivan Ortola, his teammate, and Alvaro Carpe in 9th.
Row 4 is Tapia, Detweiler and Cruces. Row 5 is Ferrandez, the man 2nd in the championship, Alex Malan and Garcia. Row 6 is Rulstone, Vier and O'Gorman.
Yeah, and row 7 is Sandoval, JWCh, and Filippo Farioli with Garcia, Volpi, who had a crash this morning in warm-up, and Charul Sharil in 24th, with row 9, Mayor, Ton and Bly Trias on the end of the back row, the 9th.
Row 10 is Alamonsil, Bernal and Scott. Row 11 is Paulek, Perrin and Mizela. Row 12 is Plonk, Gigolov and Pasweek.
Yeah, and the last 2 positions on the grid are Quinton Sands and Torrin Collins in 38th. So, time to go here then in Jerez. Race 1 of 8 we've got over the next 2 days for you. Jürgen van den Gerberg, hopefully he can get a good start. I think he got a bit of a sluggish one last time out in Portimao. So let's see if he can right the wrongs from 6 weeks ago and take his first victory of the year.
Yeah, it's time for the opening race of the 2-race day weekend here at the iconic Jerez circuit. All these riders all know this circuit pretty well by now, if not from previous years. They were here on Wednesday and Thursday for 2 free practice days, so they've got plenty of track time in and under their belts, and they'll be raring to go here on Saturday as they round turn 2 and then go into turn 3. We've seen a lot of action there, especially in the MotoGP World Championship, Jack. Obviously a lot of drama involving the 8-time world champion Marc Marquez, so let's hope nothing of the sort happens here today.
No, certainly not. Obviously you've seen lots of pictures on social media, various people from various championships walking the track and finding his big tyre mark from where he had that ridiculous save at turn 4. And then obviously we all know what happened after that, where he had that massive high side at turn 3.
It is a circuit that does like to provide some drama, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think we're going to see plenty of it in Hawkers European Talent Cup. Obviously, these young guys, they're all around 12, 13, 14, some of them 15 or 16, and you know, you got to say that they're just sharpening their skills, they're learning the game, learning how to be a full package in terms of a racer, and yeah, it provides some ridiculous action at times.
It really does. Yeah, like you say, Jack, this is the breeding ground for obviously the Moto3 Junior World Championship, and then some of the riders will go on to Moto3 World Championship, Moto2, and then even MotoGP. So these are the stars of the future. You saw there the championship, and it's Alonso leading with a maximum 75 points from 75. We mentioned Alberto Ferrandis briefly. He's 13th on the grid, 23 points behind Alonso in the championship, so he needs a good start from row 5. He's had 3 podiums this year in his rookie season on the Cuna de Campeones machine, so look out for him coming through the pack. Yes. Should mention the long lap penalty location at the end of turn 13, the Jorge Lorenzo corner. Hopefully we won't see anyone having to take that, but the stewards will have a look at jump starts or exceeding track limits, and we might see some of the riders having to do 1 or 2 laps around the outside of turn 13. But there is Zonta van den Gorberg on his first European Talent Cup pole position.
So very quickly, Elliot, if I had to ask you to predict this one, who are you going to go for?
Well, you can never rule out David Alonso, really. He was fastest in warm-up, but I'm going to go for Zonta van den Gorberg to win. But let's find out. The red flag at the front of the pack will move shortly. The green flag at the back will start waving, and the first Hawkers European Talent Cup race of the day will be underway. Watch out for the lights at the top left screen. Here they are. They go on, and we're off. Who gets a good start? It looks like Zonta van den Gorberg got a good start from pole position. It also looks like Angel Piqueras got a good start, and he looks like he's going to be up the inside at turn 1, but Zonta is late on the brakes, and he looks like he has got the whole shot. Great start from the pole man, and he'll keep it into turn 2 by the looks of it, and Piqueras holds P2, so good start from the men on the front row. What happened to Marco Morelli? I think he lost a place. Yeah, he did, to Marcos Ruda, the number 69. Good start from him from 4th place.
Yeah, already we've seen, I think that was Marco Tapia just on the Leopard bike going out wide onto track limits. They do need to be careful of that. If they do that too many times, they will receive a long lap penalty. One man that did make a good start was Ivan Ortola. He pipped ahead of his teammate David Alonso and championship leader. He's up, oh, he's not anymore actually. David Alonso's already back through on him. So anyway, the 2 Openbank Aspar Team bikes in 5th and 6th, they've picked up a few places off the start.
Yeah, it's a good start from David Alonso. Just picked off a couple of riders in the opening sector, so that's what he'll have been looking for, as that's Piqueras running wide, and it's Morelli now, the number 95, who is through into 2nd place. He's recovered from losing a spot on the grid to be Zonta van den Gorberg's main challenger at the minute. But yeah, we've got to look out for David Alonso. And how is Ferrandis doing? The number 54, yeah, he's at the back of this lead group who are already splitting away. I think it's a lead group of 8 or 9. Is that Harrison Voigt at the back? Yes, it is, on the 658 Squadra Corsa machine as they round turns 10 into turn 11. The fast sweeping right-handers, a great bit of circuit here.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught that one there, Elliot, but just on the head of this second pack that's already formed, it's Adrian Cruchez on the number 10, and he whipped his hand round and just whacked his own back, saying to the guys behind him, so come on, you know, we need to already close these guys down. We're only going into lap 2 and they've already got half a second on us. So as they cross the line for lap 1, it is Zonta van den Gorberg. He's converted that pole position to the lead with Marco Morelli, Angel Piqueras, David Alonso and Ivan Ortola, your top 5. Yeah, the 2 talent Team Estrella Galicia boys have reeled in Zonta van den Gorberg. Thought he was going to try hint at getting away from the pack, but they've closed it down to a 10th with David Alonso now in 4th. He's slowly making his way up to the lead group. Remember, he was quickest in warm-up from Zonta van den Gorberg, and the 2 were incidentally over half a second quicker than anyone else. So look out for David Alonso coming through, but it's Zonta van den Gorberg leading, as you see. Number 69 of Ruda, he just lost a few places in the second half of that opening lap as Ruda. He started 4th, and yeah, like you say, Jack, the lead group of, I think it's 10 riders, have really broken clear of the guys in second, and you can understand why they were tapping the back saying, let's not squabble, let's get up to the leaders, but I don't think it's going to work. And you can already see at the back of there, a few of the riders looking behind, see they've already got quite a big gap. Let's have a look. I think it's nearly 2 seconds, that gap already, so it really is between these riders. And there is the number 54, the man second in the championship, Ferrandis. He needs to keep an eye on David Alonso in 4th, because he doesn't want that gap to stretch out again to, it's already 23 points. Yeah, certainly not. He doesn't want Alonso to get further through this group and him be remaining languishing at the back. Obviously, it's crucial for him that he has stuck with this front group rather than being that 2 seconds back, fighting it out for, I think it's Marco Tapia heading up that group now in 10th place. But interestingly enough, with track conditions relatively cool compared to what we've seen most of the weekend. This morning in warm-up, it was actually Zonta van den Gorberg and David Alonso that were quicker than anyone by about half a second. So I don't know whether the other guys have just started to wake up a little bit, or possibly the pace isn't as quick as what they were. We'll have to check the lap times as they come through now. But it certainly seems that these two, maybe we thought they were going to get away in these cooler track conditions, but it's not happening at the minute.
No, warm-up is always, you have to take it with a pinch of salt sometimes, don't you, Jack?
Yeah, you certainly do.
Obviously, not everyone's going to be pushing 100% because you don't want to crash and make a mistake and ruin your weekend before it's even really begun, as we see fastest lap for David Alonso in 4th place. He's looking menacing, isn't he? The number 80, and is he going to go up the inside of the 18 of Piqueras? Yes, he is. That's a great move at turn 5 as we head on to the back straight, and Ivan Ortola is looking to follow his teammate through down the back straight, but the number 18 of Piqueras in the slipstream, can he pull out and make a move? But someone who is making a move is his teammate, the number 95, up the inside of Zonta van den Gorberg, and we have a different leader for the first time as Van den Gorberg turns around and sees a face full of David Alonso. But now Marco Morelli is the leader of the pack.
Yeah, big look over the shoulder from Zonta van den Gorberg there. I'm sure that possibly with the pace he was setting early on, he thought that maybe there wouldn't be so many guys behind him. But as he looked behind and he saw about 7 riders, I'm sure he thought, well, I haven't done too much to pull away from them. But anyway, so Morelli leads for the first time then. It'll be good to see if this man can pull away, or maybe just stay at the front of the pack rather than getting beaten up and pushed back like he has done a couple of times this season.
So Alonso is in 3rd place, as we see the number 93. That's Sergio Bernal.
Yeah, he's had a difficult weekend, Sergio has, and it looks like, not too sure, the engine's still running, so possibly just an electronic problem there. That's a shame for him.
So then Luke, coming down the front straight is on to Van den Gorberg in the slipstream. Is he going to pass him at the line? I think he will. So that's important to remember at the end of the race. He did pass him over the line by 0.03 of a second. 300th of a second, I should say. So he's back in the lead as number 84 is on to Van den Gorberg, as David Alonso now closes in on the back of the number 95 of Morelli. How's Ferrandez getting along? I think he's still at the back of this group, so nothing too much to worry about at the minute for man second in the championship. But obviously he can see the number 80 of Dan Alonso just looking comfortable there. In fact, as we see, I think it's Juan Rodriguez, yeah it is. Oh, he was out the seat there as well with the number 38 just at the back of the screen with Harrison Voigt and Alberto Ferrandez behind him. They're just losing touch slightly, so they've just got to regroup and try and get with these lead group of 6 riders.
Yeah, it wasn't the ideal time to make a slight mistake, because actually this whole front pack set their PB sectors through sector 1 and also sector 2, apart from those back 3. So not the best time to make a little mistake, as it looks like these guys are going to start upping the pace here. We could see a couple of fastest laps of the race come in next time round.
Yeah, track conditions will be pretty much perfect for these riders. Early morning, not too early, not early in the warm-up, but mid-morning, the sun's shining, it's getting warm, but it's not too hot and slippery out there, so the track conditions are good, as we see Morelli now back into the lead on the number 95, passes on to Van den Gorberg, but this is going to change throughout the race with just over 11 laps to go, sorry, as we come into the final corner, the Jorge Lorenzo corner. That's Marcus Ruder having a little bit of a look at Ortola, and we mentioned at the start of the show, Jack, Ortola looking pretty lanky on this bike, and I don't know if you've seen at home, but he is a rather large character on these little Honda machines, as Zonta van den Gorberg does exactly as he did on the last lap and overtakes Morelli for P1 over the line. He got him by the slimmest of margins, 0.010. So again, that's going to be important to remember at the end of the race. If someone's leading out the final corner, they're not necessarily going to win the race on the drag to the line.
No, definitely not. And as we see, Marcus Ruder does set the fastest lap of the rate of 49.866. I don't know if you spotted, or someone's gone off into the gravel, the number 55. Let me just quickly look down, the number 55.
It's Noah Detweiler.
Yeah, that's a shame. Noah Detweiler was actually in that second group, so yeah, he's dropping all the way back down now. He's still falling down the timing screens all the way down to about 30th, it looks like.
Yeah, not sure what happened there. He had a good showing in the Red Bull Rookies, actually, no Detweiler. So that's unlucky for the Swiss rider. But back at the front, and it's Morelli again who leads, with Zonta van den Gorberg now coming under threat from your championship leader, David Alonso. So we see another rider down. Is it crashed? That's Mateus Pashweek, I think, the number 58. Yes, it is. So I'm not sure if that's the same incident as almost dropped the bike. That's not good, boys.
What do you hold on to it, fellas?
We'll have to wait and see if that Noah Detweiler and Pashweek were involved in the same incident there. I'm not sure if it was just a run-on or a crash.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll say about that, Elliot, I did also notice that Philip Ton's name was falling down the timing screen, so I don't know if it was him that was in the background also trying to pick himself out the gravel, but we'll have to update you if we get any more shots of that on screen. Anyway, we've got coming up to 10 laps to go, and it's still Marco Morelli who's controlling this race out front. Zonta van den Gorberg is looking like, well, he looks like he's the best he's looked this whole year, really. He struggled in these packs beforehand, just trying to get him shuffled back. He's qualified really well, but hasn't finished where he started.
Oh, is he going to remind? There he is. Morelli just
forced.
Moved across slightly in the braking area where Zonta van den Gorberg was. He got on the curb, and you can't really brake as hard as you normally would like to on the curb, so that forced him to run wide, but he's not lost too much time. A couple of places to the Openbank Aspar boys of David Alonso and Ortola, but he's still there, so that was disaster avoided for the Dutchman, who will now regroup. And now it's David Alonso who's just quietly going about his business. He's up in second as the number 54 Ferrandez sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's left his teammate behind and Harrison Voigt behind, as you can see there in the back of your screen. In fact, I didn't see Harrison Voigt, so where has the Australian gone?
No, he's still there, Elliot. P6,
oh, is he in
he's just in the middle of the pack. You can't see him because there's so much carnage. Anyway, we do have Alberto Ferrandez alert. It looks like he's finally just woken up and he's going to start pushing through these guys. He's been at the back of this pack the whole race so far, so let's see if he can get up towards Alonso. Here we are. What we're going to see on screen here. This is just Zonta van den Gorberg getting pushed. Well, I say pushed. He just got squeezed onto the curb by Marco Morelli. Yeah, you can see the rear end skipping about. A little bit uneven out there all the way on the curb, so he's done well to get that stopped and make the corner.
Yeah, close there for van den Gorberg, but he didn't run on too much. A run into the gravel would have been his race over, but just ran a little bit wide as the 74. That's JWCh, as he had an off-excursion somewhere. Not sure, it looks like, is there something, yeah, the brake lever protectors, looks like it's bent, so I'm not sure if he's had contact with another rider or he's gone down, but
yeah, very possibly. If that lever is knocked down a little bit, could well have just been a little bump. We might actually be seeing it here on the replay. Oh, it looks like he might just get... Oh no, he's actually took the front at turn 6, so a little tip off. That explains why he's dropped all the way down to, well, he's off our timing screens at the minute, so he's lower than 30 seconds, so...
Yeah, it's easily done there at turn 6. If you run slightly wide, it is dirty on the outside of the track, so that's a crash we see quite often across all classes, to be fair. Let's have a look then. The top 3 have just edged clear. I think, yeah, Ortola might have made a mistake on that last lap because he was right behind his teammate and ahead of van den Gorberg, but now he's dropped, as Marcos Ruda says, stick behind me, we need to catch him back up, but I don't think that's going to work.
Well, Marcos Ruda is an absolute pocket rocket on the straight, so if he just keeps his head down, he'll probably catch them up anyway. So, yeah, as you say, Elliot, this front group of 3 looks like they're just starting to get their heads down, particularly Zonta van den Gorberg. He's looking really racy, isn't he? He's been all over the back of Morelli. He's not let him go ever since Morelli came into the lead. So I just wonder if Zonta is learning everything he can, as we see Morelli went a little bit wide, but not too bad. He's pulled it all the way back. So possibly Zonta just lining up for an attack in the late laps.
Yeah, this is impressive from both the front duo. We just saw van den Gorberg running wide at turn 1 a couple of laps ago, and he's already regrouped and he's right behind Marco Morelli, and it looks like van den Gorberg is looking pretty impatient to get a move done here on the number 95. We'll see if he doesn't show a wheel at turn 13, so I think it's going to be a matter of drafting Morelli down the straight and into turn 1. It looks like he's got a good run out of there, does van den Gorberg. He pulls alongside of Morelli, but Morelli gets the power down on the Honda machine. As the top 8 riders are split by less than a second. It's a cracking race here in Jerez for the Hawkers European Talent Cup boys, and I'll apologise to Harrison Voigt. I didn't see him creep his way up to the lead group a couple of laps ago. He's right there in the battle, is the Australian, just behind Alberto Ferrandez, who, with 8 laps to go, is still very much in the mix, but he can see David Alonso just in 3rd place. So, like we've mentioned numerous times before, we've got 2 races here today, and Ferrandez really does start needing to, well, all the riders start needing to beat that number 8 in 3rd place, David Alonso, as Ruda pulls alongside your championship leader, and alongside everyone is Ortola, and he takes the lead. I'm not sure how many riders he passed there, as we see, is that Morelli running wide?
Yeah, Morelli gone from 1st in this group all the way down to 8th now, so absolute disaster for Morelli. It's really not what he wanted. He was just at the top, you know, only a few corners ago. But anyway, Ortola hits the front, not for long though, because Marcos Ruda dives up the inside of him at turn 8, and that is still onto Van den Gorberg. Oh, he's hooked it tight on that one, looking to try get the drive under Ortola, and he's dropped it over the nose. Lovely move. Back up into P2 for Zonta Van den Gorberg.
Yeah, so we've got a new race leader, and it's Marcos Ruda from Zonta Van den Gorberg, and that was great slipstream down the back straight from both Ruda and the number 48 of Ortola. Passed about 4 or 5 riders into turn 6. Cracking move from the duo. Who are we looking here?
It's Almanacil and Bly Trias. It looks as though they're both okay, just sharing a handshake there. I'm sure there's a few apologies. Not too sure what happened. Hopefully we get a replay of that to see how those 2 crashed out, but we'll update you if we get any more news. That's all you need to know. Just go for it. Group of 9 plus 0, go, go, go. And it looks like the man at the front is all go, go, go. Van den Gorberg's taking the lead as we come down to 7 laps to go. He's got a 3/10 buffer that's about as big as anyone's had this whole race.
Yeah, it is, and he is looking, as I say that, a little front moment twitch there that was out of the seat. It doesn't look to have lost too much time. There's still a couple of bike lengths between Van den Gorberg and David Alonso in 2nd, but I don't think, I might be wrong and I might be proved wrong, but I don't think anyone's going to be able to pull away, because the slipstream is being used to good effect by all these riders. Unless Van den Gorberg can keep this advantage, he is looking probably, I'd say, the strongest of this group, because he quickly regrouped and got back up to the lead group, and there we see the number 54 of Ferrandez backing it in nicely, but Ortola has the inside line.
We do have a track limits warning for number 10, Adrian Cruces, and number 13, Marco Tapia. They're back in that 2nd group. Tapia 11th, just behind Julio Garcia, who's heading that one up. Adrian Cruces is in 14th, so we'll have to be careful of those 2. If they do it once or twice more, they will be getting a long lap penalty. Anyway, back to the front. I think Zonta Van den Gorberg is going to try and prove you wrong. Elliott looks like he's going to try and pull away, but guess who's going with him? It's David Alonso. We did say we wondered if these 2 would be able to pull away from everyone else, as they were rapid this morning in warm-up, and it looks like with 7 to go, they might have just pulled the pin.
It was a surprise when we turned up to the track on Friday morning to see Alonso down towards the lower ends of the top 10 on the time sheets. We're just so used to seeing him P1, P1, P1 in every session. We were talking, weren't we? We were just wondering if the adaptation back from the KTM Moto3 bike in Austria to the slightly slower and slightly smaller Honda European Talent Cup bike maybe just affected his opening couple of days and qualifying here in Jerez.
Yeah, it's a very good point. They're obviously completely different machines. The Honda twin spar aluminium frame machine, much more I'd say normal, should we say, and obviously the KTM, the steel trellis frame, so certainly very different bikes. And well, to be honest, David Alonso looked at home on both of them, but it looks like it's just taken him a day or 2 to transition back to the ETC machine.
Taken a day or 2, but it looks like he's firmly back in the driving seat now as he tails Van den Gorberg, and he was a 10th quicker than Van den Gorberg on that lap, as you can see on your screens, and he's right in the slipstream. So is he going to make a move down into the Danny Pedrosa corner? He's late on the brakes, but it's on to Van den Gorberg, was a little bit later, as we see Harrison Voigt run it slightly wide, but I think he's going to be able to pull it back, and he'll have the inside line coming into turn 7. Yeah, he keeps the position, so that squabbling isn't going to help Ortola and the others try and bridge that small gap that Van den Gorberg and Alonso have created. Now the gap is up to half a second on this lap, so this could be Van den Gorberg and Alonso making the break that, as we said, from the warm-up times, that it did look quite threatening. They were over half a second quicker this morning in the 20-minute session. So we'll wait and see as we see the 2 Talent Team Estrella Galicia boys just dropping off the pace. It's surprising Morelli hasn't been able to recover from that turn 6 not quite a run-off, but he ran very wide as we have a, well, it's sort of a three-group battle now. There's a few bike lengths between Alonso and his teammate Ortola, and then there's a couple more bike lengths between Ferrandes at the back there, the number 54, Cunha de Campione's machine, to Angel Piqueras and Marco Morelli.
Yeah, certainly. As we just watched them come into turn 1, it's worth noting that this is a great performance from Harrison Voigt. This year he's actually gone 10th, 15th and 11th. So fighting for the podium is a real big improvement for him. We've seen him carry a lot of corner speed, but just lose it on the exit there. Obviously he was in that main battle for the lead last time. Well, I say the lead, it was for second place actually, because Alonso was 3 seconds up the road from everyone. But yeah, big improvement from Harrison Voigt this weekend. I'm sure the 658 squad will be pretty happy with him.
Yeah, he'll be chasing a podium position, his first in the European Talent Cup, but he's already stood on a podium this year, and that was all the way back in March in Qatar. He was 3rd in one of the JWCh Talent Cup races, so he's got podium pedigree already this year, and he'll be wanting the same again in Jerez, the number 29, just behind Ivan Ortola there in 4th, so he's primed. As he looks behind, he's got Marcos Ruda and Ferrandes right behind him as we focus on the leaders. I think the gap's remaining pretty constant. It's still half a second, so they're not absolutely pulling the pin with 4.5 laps to go, and Ortola's doing a good job of dragging the others back up to his teammate's rear wheel.
Yeah, he is, to be fair. He's doing pretty well. We're just looking at the timing screens here, and we can see that the laps, they're doing 50.1s, 50.0 pretty consistently, and that's exactly what they were doing at the start of the race as well. So it looks like there was that one lap where there was a bit of a scrap and a couple of mistakes from the guys. It just pushed them back that half a second. They haven't really been able to close it back in because the pace has been identical to what they've done the hot race. But as I say that, it looks like Alonso just got a bit of a poor drive out the final corner there, and they're all back onto him again. So script out the window. We've got the top guys, what is it, top 6 within 3/4 of a second.
Yeah, that gap's closed now, hasn't it? And the two Team Estrella Galicia boys have closed in the gap on the back of Ferrandes. So we've gone from having 3 groups, and we mentioned the Estrella Galicia boys. That was Marco Morelli, the man who started 3rd on the grid, just set the fastest lap of the race at 1:49.8. That was a good 2/10 quicker than anyone in front of him. So
yeah, he set the fastest lap of the race, and then his teammate Piqueras also set a 1:49.8, just 300 slower, and that was his personal best of the race. So the talent team, Estrella Galicia boys, are just coming back into it as we see Ruda again desperately trying to tell the other guys, stop dive bombing, I need to get back up to this front group. But anyway, Harrison Voigt doesn't listen to it at all, and straight back up into 4th place.
No, Voigt didn't want to listen to Marcos Ruda there, and Ortola has joined the leading duo to make it a leading trio, and with 3.5 laps to go, the riders have now got a job on their hands to close a gap that's opened up to around half a second. It's that half a second again. I'm not sure what happened in Sector 1. Something must have happened between Harrison Voigt and Marcos Ruda.
I'm not too sure if there was anything too chaotic that happened, or whether it was just the front 3 have just now actually put the hammer down, because they set PB sectors, and even Ortola in Sector 1 set the fastest sector of the whole race through there. So it looks like the last couple of laps, no worries about tyre conservation, just go for it, give it everything you've got.
Absolutely. So down into turn 13, that is Marco Morelli making moves up the inside at Jorge Lorenzo corner as we focus in on the lead in 3 with now 3 laps to go as Zonta van den Gorberg, David Alonso and Ivan Ortola take the line. And it looks like Harrison Voigt has done a good job of trying to close that gap down. It's down to 3/10 now he's behind Ortola. So if he has another solid lap here without getting interrupted by the swift move in Marco Morelli, as I say that, Harrison Voigt runs wide at turn 2, so that's lost his good work from the previous lap, and now Morelli's back into P4 as he eyes a podium charge.
Ruda just threw it up the inside of Harrison Voigt into turn 4. Great move. He ran a little bit wide onto the green on the exit, but just one thing to point out as well, it's going to help Morelli because he's set the fastest lap of the race 2 laps in a row now. So if he can do it again, he'll be right back on the front group of these guys. He was 2/10 quicker. There you go. It's just popped up on your screen. 2/10 quicker than the man in front of him, and 3/10 quicker than the top 2 last time round.
Yeah, let's see. It's going to be very interesting to see Morelli's lap time on this lap as we round turn 7, the fast sweeping left-hander, and we'll go through another fast sweeping left-hander of turn 8. We saw a couple of guys have a couple of moments at that left-hander as we sweep into the stadium section. Unfortunately, there's no fans here cheering on the riders. Normally this would be, well, it'd be full for a Grand Prix, that's for sure, and it would have a fair few people here cheering on the future of Grand Prix stars, as Ortola now looks to have just lost a little bit of ground with Van der Gorberg and Alonso. I'm not sure if he made a mistake or anything there, but now Morelli is right on the back of the number 48. He's going to make a move up into turn 13. Yes, he is, Marco Morelli. What a great late charge this is from the man who started third on the grid. He is now in the final podium spot, but is Ortola going to try and drag him to the line? Yes, he is, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. No, he's not. So into turn 1 they go, and Morelli again sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:49.6, and that was a good 5/10 quicker than David Alonso, and Van der Gorberg set a 1:50.2. So Marco Morelli really is setting the pace here in Jerez with 2 laps to go, and what a charge this is from the number 95.
Yeah, I don't know where he's found this extra pace from. He's put it into turbo mode or something, because he's absolutely on them.
Just watching that.
Yeah, just got to be careful there. Seen a couple of times now, just turn 10 as well. A few guys running onto the green and just be flirting with track limits a little bit, so they've got to be careful not to be penalised in this last lap and a half. As we now see Morelli go to the outside, looking like he's going to, whoa, I didn't think he was going to be able to do that, as David Alonso just makes sure he can't tip it in and drop it over his nose. Morelli still in P3.
Yeah, this is great from Morelli. What we're going to see here, it's just a slow-mo replay of them hard on the brakes into turn 1. That's on to Van den Gorberg getting his superb Honda machine stopped and tipped over. Nicely done there from the Dutchman.
Yeah, a little bit of a wiggle on the front end, but nothing that will phase Zonta Van den Gorberg. Anyway, it looks like these top 4, even Ortola's just been able to cling on to the back of Morelli, as I think we see his rear seat unit just flopping about there. He's obviously come loose a little bit as he's running over the curbs. Was that Alonso that took a long look over his shoulder?
Yeah, and I thought Morelli was going to pounce. Alonso, I thought he'd lost a little bit of drive by looking over his shoulder. I thought Morelli was going to dive up the inside into turn 11, but it wasn't the case, as instead Morelli loses a place. I think he's going to lose it to Ivan Ortola. Yes, he is, but is Marco Morelli going to be able to draft past the number 48 as we cross over the line? It will be your last lap, race 1 here in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, and it's on to Van den Gorberg who leads. He's good on the brakes.
As we just see on our timing screens pop up, number 13, Marco Tapia, has a 3-second time penalty for repeatedly exceeding track limits. So that's commiserations for him. He is all the way down in 14th. So anyway, we'll look back to the top 3 as it is the final lap. Zonta Van den Gorberg, he could well be taking his first European Talent Cup race win, as long as he can hold off. Whoa, that was close to the track limits. As long as he can hold off from the 2 Openbank Aspar Team bikes.
Yeah, we're just watching the time screen to see if anything flashes up, because that's a couple of times in a row now as Ortola goes on to track limits there, so this could prove costly if race direction deem them to be doing it too often. As we see David Alonso pulling out the slipstream and into turn 6, but Zonta Van den Gorberg is good on the brakes there as Morelli tips it off. Oh no, what a shame for Marco Morelli, who showed great race pace, and the team are distraught. Thankfully he's up and okay, but that was, well, luckily he didn't collect anyone else, but that's enabled Zonta Van den Gorberg and David Alonso to have a good gap on the rest of them, so it looks like it's between those two for the race winning, and Zonta Van den Gorberg goes a little bit defensive into the stadium section. Turn 9, that's a popular passing pace done into turn 10. Is that Ferrandez going up to 3rd place? It is, so that could be important for the number 54.
Yeah, and it's all about the drive through these last 2 right-handers now. He's got to be onto him. He's got to get the drive out of 12 here and launch down the inside into Lorenzo. He's lining him up. He's going to look to the outside. Is he going to go for it? Oh, it's late on the brakes, but not quite enough. Zonta Van den Gorberg holds on. Can he get this
close for
drive
Ortola?
to the line?
Jack at the back. But yeah, Zonta Van den Gorberg held it. He's late on the brakes and he's going to win the drag to the line. The number 84, Zonta Van den Gorberg, will win here in Jerez from David Alonso. And who gets 3rd? I think it's Ortola. Yes, it is, just pipping Alberto Ferrandez after almost crashing at the final corner. Ortola takes a podium position.
Like
Zonta Van den Gorberg, brilliantly done from the Dutchman. The number 84 wins his maiden European Talent Cup race, and what a ride it was from Zonta Van den Gorberg.
Yeah,
held
absolutely
off.
cracking.
Absolutely cracking race, yeah. as just shake hands with David Alonso. A fine effort from 7th on the grid for your championship leader, and he will extend his lead in the championship standings after he beat Alberto Ferrandez, who finished a solid 4th. Ferrandez still in his rookie season, of course. Another good result for the number 54, but it's that man there, the number 84. His dad Jürgen was proud of him yesterday for getting a maiden pole position, and he's going to be even prouder today. Zonta van den Gorberg is your race 1 winner here at the Circuito de Jerez Anianiato, and as he pulls another stand-up wheelie, we should be seeing plenty more of them in the future. And there's David Alonso, your championship leader, finishes 2nd. That's the first time he won't be standing on the top step in the Hawkers European Talent Cup in 2020. But nevertheless, a fantastic ride from the Openbank Aspar team. And talking of the Openbank Aspar team, there's your third place finisher, Ivan Ortola. He picks up his first rostrum since finishing 2nd in the first race back in Estoril, the opening race of the 2020 season for these youngsters. Finished P9 in race 2 in Estoril after getting a long lap penalty for a jump start, and then finished P6 in Portugal nearly 6 weeks ago. So that's another podium finish for Ivan Ortola, but the man who will be happiest on Saturday morning here in Jerez will be that man, Zonta van den Gorberg. His first podium of the season, his first win of the season. Finished P4 in Estoril, crashed out in the first race there after being involved in an incident that wasn't his fault, and then finished 8th in Portimao. Hold on, what's going on here? So it's just popping up on the timing screens that number 84 and 54, so that's Zonta van den Gorberg and Alberto Ferrandez, have exceeded track limits on the last lap, and they must drop 1 position. That is a cruel ending for the number 84. But we did mention on the last lap that a couple of the riders were exceeding track limits, and race direction have obviously noticed it. They've been doing it more than 1 or 2 times, and that means David Alonso will eventually stand on the top step of the podium for the 4th time in a row. Oh, an absolute disaster for Zonta van den Gorberg. You've got to feel sorry for the Dutchman. He didn't deserve that. But rules are rules, and if you exceed track limits on the last lap, then you have to drop 1 position, unfortunately. So that means Harrison Voigt will take 4th ahead of Alberto Ferrandez. Ferrandez drops to P5, Harrison Voigt P4, so that's a best finish of the season for the Australian. A great ride from Harrison Voigt. A real shame there for Zonta van den Gorberg. He holds up the P2 sign after crossing the line P1, but we've seen this in the World Championship, haven't we? We saw it at the Austrian Grand Prix with the likes of Iagura, Darren Binder and Celestino Vietti. They had to drop 1 position on the last lap after exceeding track limits. So unfortunately that is the rules, and unfortunately for Zonta van den Gorberg, he does have to drop into 2nd position. But race 2 this afternoon, that means he's going to be even more fired up to make sure he's standing on the top step of the podium. So delight for Alonso. Well, what we're watching here, we're watching the run to the line. I don't think it was the last corner that they exceeded track limits on, so it must have been a bit earlier on in the lap. It looked like a few of the riders did come out of turn 4 onto the green. We'll have to wait for confirmation of that. But what a race from the number 84 and the number 80, who eventually takes victory after the lap penalty, the last lap penalty for Zonta van den Gorberg. So that's a maximum 100 points from 100 for David Alonso. So that makes his lead in the championship even better than it was when he crossed the line, with Alonso going up 1 position and Ferrandez having to drop 1 position into P5. So the timing screens have changed again. So what's happening here? So Harrison Voigt has now Right, they're changing all the time here. Now it says the number 48 of Ivan Ortola exceeded track limits on the last lap and must drop 1 position. So that means Ferrandez is now on the podium, judging by the timing screens. Ortola is 4th and Voigt is 5th. So I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm very confused myself. But it says at the bottom of the timing screen, rider number 84, which is Van der Gorberg, number 54, which is Ferrandez, and number 48, which is Ivan Ortola, have all exceeded track limits on the last lap to drop 1 position. It's currently showing Ferrandez 3rd, Ortola 4th, and Voigt 5th. But if Ferrandez and... So here we have it. Yeah, we saw that, didn't we, at the top of the hill? Ortola running onto the green, which you're not allowed to do, and on the last lap it's an automatic drop 1 position, unfortunately. So does this mean that Harrison Voigt is on the podium? Judging by the scenes down there, it is, but here we have it. Your race winner again, David Alonso. He's down with Jack Gorst in pit lane.
David Alonso, you crossed the line in 2nd place, but you've taken victory. So how was the battle with Zonta on the final lap?
It's an incredible race, very difficult, because Zonta make a good piece. So I was only trying to be behind him and wait until the end. In the last lap, I tried to overtake him, but it was complicated. He was so fast, but then he was over the limit. So 1st position, another 1st is so good, very good also to the championship. Thanks to the team, and I dedicate this to my boss, Jorge Martinez Aspar, because it's his birthday today.
Fantastic, congratulations. We'll see you in race 2.
Thanks.
Happy birthday to the boss from David Alonso, and what a way to celebrate it as we now watch the highlights from a cracking opening race here in Jerez. And it was on to Van den Gorberg, who led from pole position. He led into turn 1 with Marco Morelli slotting in behind him into turn 1. And from there, a lead group of about 9 riders broke clear immediately there. You can see with Ferrandez, the man second in championship, at the back of that. And the 2 Team Estrella Galicia talent team boys were on the case in the opening laps, but there was plenty of swapping and changing to come as we saw Morelli and Zonta Van den Gorberg getting close into turn 1. Zonta Van den Gorberg drafting past the number 95 on the straight a couple of times in the open exchanges. And as we saw further back, crash for JWCh. Not what he would have wanted down at the Dani Pedrosa corner, but back at the front, and it was a cracking battle between numerous riders there. We saw Marco Morelli running wide, but then after that he showed really superior late race pace. There he is, diving up the inside of Marcos Ruda into the Jorge Lorenzo corner. Zonta Van den Gorberg held firm at the front, but then disaster for Morelli. Looking up the inside, crashed out at turn 6, which left a gap between the top 2 here. Zonta Van den Gorberg and David Alonso. It's between them 2 on the final lap. Van den Gorberg crossed the line ahead of Alonso, but unfortunately for the number 84, he exceeded track limits on the last lap, which means he had to be demoted 1 position, which handed David Alonso the win. The 2 leaders shaking hands there. And that was race 1 of the Hawkers European Talent Cup here in Jerez. They'll be back out later for race 2. But now the podium, and it is Harrison Voigt on the podium. A great result for the Australian. His first podium since claiming the podium in the JWCh Talent Cup in Qatar in March. There's Zonta Van den Gorberg climbing up to 2nd, his first podium of the season, but he'll be bitterly disappointed he's not standing on the number 1 step. But one man who's used to be standing up on the top step is that man, David Alonso. His 4th win in a row, 100 points from 100. The Aspar team collect the trophy from the Vice President of the FIM Europe.
Jean Mardini ahora da la enhorabuena a ese tercer clasificado, Harrison Boyd.
Harrison Voigt lifts the third place trophy. He'll be hoping he can at least repeat that in race 2 later today.
Ahí está, grande, Zonta van der Gorber.
Doesn't look too unhappy, does Zonta van den Gorber. He is second after all, but he'll have been wanting to lift that trophy, but lifting the trophy instead is David Alonso. Another win for the young Colombian, and he takes away €250 check.
Vamos a escuchar el himno de Colombia. El aplauso, enhorabuena para David Alonso.
So, the Colombian national anthem sings out once again. That's 4 times now David Alonso stood on the top step. And what late drama. Unbelievable drama. We thought that going into the final corner there, that Zonta van den Gorber was going to pick up his first ever European Talent Cup win. It wasn't to be. Just as I was down in Parc Fermé there, I saw them give the news to Zonta, and he was visibly annoyed, a little hit on the tank, but after that, it was fantastic to see that he immediately went over to David Alonso, gave him a handshake and a little hug and said congratulations, and wasn't too annoyed after that. So there it is, confirmation, David Alonso wins from Zonta van den Gorber. Harrison Voigt picks up his first podium, with Ivan Ontola narrowly missing out after also suffering track limits violations. Alberto Fernandez picks up 5th, Marcos Ruda in 6th, was a good ride from him, he was challenging at the front. Angel Piqueras, Juan Rodriguez ran out the top 8. Alvaro Carpe in 10th, Roberto Garcia in 11th, Colin Vaya, Adrian Cruces, Romeo Sandoval, Marco Tapia after his free second time penalty for track violations, Hugo Milan and Filippo Farioli. Jacob John Ralston in 18th, Noah Detweiler in 19th, Mattia Volpi, 20th, Charul Charil, Mario Mayor, Milan Pawlek, Daijiro Sacco, and Philip Ton in 25th. Bartholomew Perrin, Guillaume Planck, Damien Jigalov, Tyler Jacob Scott, and they've gone very quickly there. Tyler Jacob Scott, Quintin Sands, Torrin Collins, Amory Mizera. So, Hawker's European Talent Cup is complete, and it's absolute domination in the championship for David Alonso. 100 points out of 100 points. We'll see if he can take it to 125 out of 125 later today for race 2. Alberto Fernandez maintains his second place in the championship. Ivan Ontola 50 points behind his teammate now. Some gap to make up in the remaining rounds. Angel Piqueras, Zonta van den Gorber, and Marco Morelli in top 6. Juan Rodriguez is in 10th with Alvaro Carpe, Mattia Volpi, Filippo Farioli, Julio Garcia, Daijiro Sacco, Adrian Cruces, and Colin Vaya with 7 points. Roberto Garcia, Jacob John Ralston, Noah Detweiler, Dean Berta, Hugo Milan, Philip Ton, Romeo Sandoval, and Justin Foucault with 1 point in 25th. So race 1 for Hawker's Talent Cup is done. We saw crazy action and a lot of this, a lot of last lap drama with those green parts of the curbs coming into play big time. Track limits, it caught out 3 riders from the top group, and it meant absolute chaos down in Parc Fermé for the podium. No one knew what quite was going on, but it was great to see that between these two men, Zonta van den Gorber and David Alonso, there was a big handshake and a big hug, and they laughed about it at the end anyway.
So European Talent Cup race 1 is done here. They'll be back out later this afternoon. It's time to get set for the Moto2 European Championship here in Jerez.